Here's a quiet secret wrapped inside an ancient philosophy. The people who pull us the strongest aren't the loudest, the flashiest, or the most available. They're the ones who live from a steady center, calm, clear, committed to something bigger than approval. We feel it when they walk into a room or when they speak slowly, choosing their words instead of spilling them. We sense a gravity that isn't forced. That is the Stoic hack. Become the person whose inner life is so ordered that others naturally gather around your warmth and certainty. Not through tricks, not through manipulation, through character, through self-mastery, through the rare power of not needing what most people chase. If that sounds abstract, let me bring it down to earth. Imagine you're at a cafe. Someone across the room is not performing for the sake of attention. They aren't scanning to see who's watching them. They're present. They read. They sip. They laugh with a friend without glancing at their phone. When you catch their eye, there's no flinch, only ease. You feel pulled, not because they're trying to be interesting, but because they're absorbed in a life that's already rich. This is the magnetic field of the Stoic, a person anchored in values, unattached to outcomes, generous with attention, and careful with availability. That's attractive in any century. Why does this matter today? Because we live in a world addicted to grabbing attention, grabbing likes, grabbing replies. The more we grab, the more we push people away. The more we perform, the cheaper our presence feels. This isn't just about romance, it's friendship, leadership, and reputation. People are drawn to those who are hard to rattle and easy to trust. Stoicism, properly understood, gives you a way to become that person, and yes, the effect often looks like obsession from the outside, but ethically, healthily, humanly, it's just resonance. You stop chasing and you start becoming. That's the whole game. Take a breath with me. Imagine listening not for information, but for transformation. Ready? Let's begin. Part 1. The quiet center, from chasing to choosing. Here's the core move. You shift from chasing to choosing. Most people enter social life as beggars for attention. They throw themselves at others through over-explaining, through anxiety texting, through frantic humor because they want a hint of approval to soothe the sting of self-doubt. Stoicism interrupts that spiral. It says, remember what is in your control and what is not. Your character is within your control. Your attention is within your control. Your choices are within your control. Their reactions, not yours. The moment you accept this boundary, you become free, and free people feel different. They carry air around them. Think of it like holding a lamp in a dark hallway. If you chase people with the lamp, they feel hunted. If you stand there and tend the flame, those who want light will move toward you. Choosing is tending the flame. It's showing up as yourself, clearly and steadily, without apology and demand. People can sense you're not trying to get something from them, and because you're not grasping, their guard drops. That is the paradox. Neediness repels, non-neediness attracts. Stoics dissolve neediness not by pretending not to care, but by caring about the right things: virtue, truth, kindness, discipline. If you want a practical entry point, try this today. When you reach for your phone to send a message to close a gap of discomfort, pause. Ask, am I choosing or chasing? If you're chasing, wait 10 minutes. Breathe, notice the body, let the craving drop by half. When you do reach out, do so from choice, a clean yes rather than a panicked please. The tone changes, the energy changes, the result changes. Part 2. Value over validation. Become the source. People become obsessed with those who are sources, not sinks. Validation seeking makes you a sink. You pull energy toward your emptiness. Value giving makes you a source. You pour energy from your fullness. Stoicism trains fullness by sharpening 3 things: principles, practices, and presence. Principles are the non-negotiables that govern your life. I don't lie. I protect my mornings. I won't gossip. I will do what is right over what is easy. Principles act like river banks. They narrow the flow of your life so it moves forward with force. People trust the river that knows where it's going. Practices are small daily actions that embody your values. A Stoic doesn't wait for the big moment. They rehearse courage when it's raining, and they still go for the walk. They rehearse temperance when dessert calls their name, and they smile and say, not tonight. They rehearse wisdom by questioning their own stories before they question others. You can feel this quiet repetition in someone. It radiates. Presence is how your principles and practices show up in the room. It's the way you look at a person when they talk in hurried, kind, with a little curiosity in your eyes. It's a shoulder that doesn't hunch around insecurity and a spine that doesn't stiffen in defensiveness. Presence is audible, too. It's the voice that lands at the pace of reality instead of the speed of anxiety. When you stack principles, practices, and presence, you become valuable in a way the market can't touch. You're not performing, you're provisioning. You're the person people want in the meeting, on the trip, in the crisis, not because you juggle chainsaws, but because you steady the room. That is value. And value makes people reach for you, remember you, and yes, sometimes obsess about having you near. Try this reflection. At the end of today, list 3 moments you gave value without asking for something back. Maybe you listened to a friend without turning the conversation to yourself. Maybe you tightened a process at work that no one will see, but everyone will feel. Maybe you kept a promise to yourself. That last one counts double, because self-trust leaks into every room you enter. Part 3. Boundaries as invitations. The art of clean lines. Stoics are not walls, they are doors with a clear frame. The frame is your boundary. It says what you allow, what you decline, and what you require to stay in integrity. Many people think boundaries repel, but the truth is the opposite. Clean lines create comfort. When people know where you stand, they can exhale. They don't have to tiptoe. Your no becomes a safety signal. Your yes becomes a sacred space. Consider the alternative. Without boundaries, your attention is available on demand. Your time is a buffet, and your energy is for the taking. That might look generous for a week, but it soon breeds resentment in you and confusion in others. It's like giving someone a map without roads. No wonder they drive badly. A Stoic boundary is quiet, consistent, and compassionate. Quiet means you don't announce it as a threat. You simply live it. Consistent means you don't bend because you're bored or lonely. You bend only when wisdom says the exception is right. Compassionate means you don't punish people for testing the line. You just hold the line calmly and repeat the rule if needed. Let's make it practical. If instant replies drain you, set a response window that you keep. You might decide, I reply to messages twice a day. You don't need to post a sign. You just live it. Over time, people learn your rhythm, and the ones who value you adjust. The ones who can't tolerate a delay rarely value you, they value control. Your boundary will reveal that quickly, saving you months of confusion. In relationships, a boundary might sound like, I don't raise my voice, and I won't stay in a conversation where voices are raised. I'll step outside for a few minutes and return. When we can speak with respect, notice the tone, not a performance, not a threat, just a standard. Notice the power. You refuse to be dragged into chaos. You invite the other person into calm. That invitation is attractive. It says, come meet me where I live on higher ground. Part 4. Make your attention rare and rich. Attention today is like a rare spice. Because it's scarce, it's valuable. But scarcity alone isn't enough. What makes your attention irresistible is that, when given its full strength, that's the Stoic paradox. You're not everywhere, you're fully where you are. Rich attention has 3 moves. First, you witness without grabbing. You let people tell their story, and you don't rearrange their words to make yourself the hero. Second, you inquire without interrogating. You ask clean questions like, what mattered most about that for you? And then you listen to the answer. Third, you mirror without mimicking. You reflect what you heard in your own words so the other person feels seen, not copy-pasted. Here's the magic. When someone feels precisely witnessed, their nervous system relaxes. Relaxed people associate that feeling with you. They want more of it, not because you flattered them, but because you gave them a rare experience. Attention without agenda. That's addictive in the best way. You can practice this anywhere. At lunch, put your phone face down and ask one deep question. On a call, let there be a moment of silence after they finish a beat of respect. In a meeting, say, here's what I'm hearing, and summarize fairly before offering your view. You'll notice something. Your words start to carry more weight because they seem derived from stillness instead of speed. There's another side to rich attention, where you aim it when you're alone. If you saturate your mind with noise, doom scrolling, gossip, random outrage, your attention is cheapened before you ever share it. A Stoic protects inputs, not because they are fragile, but because they value their focus. Try a small fast from outrage. Try a morning with no screens for the first hour. Let your mind drink clean water before you pour for someone else. Part 5. Calm under fire. Composure as charisma. Composure is charisma in slow motion. In a storm, most people flail. When you don't, you stand out. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be less reactive than you were yesterday. The Stoics practice this in two ways: premeditation and perspective. Premeditation is rehearsing adversity before it arrives. Imagine the flight delay, the sharp comment, the awkward silence. Feel the sting for a second. Then rehearse your response, a breath, a steady tone, one sentence that sets the frame. I hear you. Let's slow down. We'll find a way. When the real moment comes, your body remembers the calm because you already practiced it. That memory becomes presence. Perspective is remembering that you are larger than this moment. Zoom out. On the scale of your whole life, most irritations shrink like a city seen from a plane. You don't minimize real pain. You simply refuse to magnify petty inconvenience. People feel the difference. They start bringing you into rooms where tension is high, because your presence lowers the temperature without lowering the standards. Try this micro drill for a week. Whenever you feel a spike of reactivity and eye-roll impulse, a clapback forming on your tongue, press your feet into the ground and count a slow 5 with your exhale. Not a theatrical sigh, a private release. Ask yourself one question: what outcome do I want 10 minutes from now? Shape your next sentence to serve that outcome. This tiny gap between trigger and response is where credibility is minted. And credibility makes people attached to you. Because trust is traction. We follow what we trust. There's a second-order effect. Calm invites confession. People tell composed people the truth because they suspect you won't explode. That means you become the person who knows what's happening. Knowledge compounds into influence. Influence, held with humility, becomes leadership. And leadership, when it's clean, is attractive all by itself. Part 6. Purpose you can feel. The heat that warms, not burns. If composure is your cool, purpose is your heat. The point isn't to be icy, it's to be steady. The Stoic is not indifferent to life. They are indifferent to triviality. They care deeply about the right things. When you aim your life at a purpose and structure your days around it, people can feel an invisible current when they're near you. You become a moved mover, someone in motion for reasons beyond applause. Purpose can be grand or local. Maybe you're building something for your community. Maybe you're raising children with tenderness and clarity. Maybe you're making a craft so well that others are changed by the encounter. The scale matters, less than the sincerity. Stoicism says, choose a worthy aim, attach your habits to it, and let your outcomes be what they will. Ironically, this detachment from outcome often produces better outcomes. You might be thinking, but how does this make people obsessed with me? Because the world is full of drift. When you carry a steady aim, you become a lighthouse. Ships adjust their course by your light. Some will try to move into the lighthouse itself to be closer to the glow. That isn't your goal, but it is a frequent side effect. The key is to never trade your purpose for the pull of admiration. Admiration is weather. Purpose is climate. Let the weather change. Keep your climate stable. Build your day to support this. Mornings are your anchor. Start with stillness, a page of reflection, 3 minutes of breath, a review of what is in your control for the day, then a short bout of voluntary discomfort, cold water, a brisk walk, a set of push-ups. This reminds your body that comfort isn't king. Plan 3 needle-moving actions attached to your aim, and do the first before you check the world's demands. When your day begins with sovereignty, your evening ends with peace, and peace is felt by everyone who meets you. Part 7. Speech with weight. Fewer words, greater impact. In a noisy age, words that carry weight are rare. The Stoics' words land because they've been filtered through silence, through self-respect, through intention. You don't need to speak like a philosopher to speak with power. You need three things: clarity, kindness, and cadence. Clarity means you say what you mean without decorating it in hedges. Instead of "I'm just wondering if maybe we could try," say, "I propose we try X, here's why, and here's what we'll watch." Clarity is a kindness to the listener. It spares them the dance of interpretation. Kindness is the tone that wraps your clarity in care. You don't use your honesty as a weapon. You use it as a tool to build understanding. "I care about this," and "I care about you" can be communicated in how you breathe before you speak, how you keep your voice at the level of conversation rather than courtroom, and how you leave room for the other person's view to exist without attack. Cadence is rhythm. It's how you pace your thoughts so they can be absorbed. Make friends with pauses. Pauses signal confidence. They let your words land like stones in a pond instead of pebbles in a hailstorm. In a heated moment, slowing your cadence slows the room. People will often mirror your breathing without noticing. You become the metronome. One more thing, don't fear saying "I don't know." Those words, spoken cleanly, raise your credibility. They signal you care more about truth than display. People trust those who can admit ignorance because they're more likely to tell the truth when they do know. Trust, again, is the quiet engine of attraction. Let me tell you about someone I'll call Daniel. He used to be a chaser. He fired off messages like flares, trying to be seen. At work, he filled Thessalons with anxious jokes. In relationships, he grew prickly when replies slowed down. He called this being passionate. It was, in fact, an addiction to reaction. He decided to try the Stoic way for 90 days. First, he drew 3 principles: honesty, punctuality, and respect in conflict. Then he set 3 practices: morning stillness, afternoon focus sprints, and evening reflection. He set a boundary. For his phone, replies at 11 a.m. and for p.m., not on demand. When he felt the urge to grab attention, he asked, "Am I choosing or chasing?" and waited for the answer was chasing. He practiced one composure drill, exhale to 5 before he responded. To heat, and in conversation, he used the mirror. "Here's what I'm hearing," then a question. Results: in month 1, the noise inside him got louder. He mistook silence for rejection, but he kept his practices. In month 2, something changed. People began coming to him for perspective. A colleague said, "You're easy to talk to." A friend said, "You seem grounded." Someone he admired asked him for coffee. He wasn't more handsome, he was more present. The shift was subtle but decisive. He had become a source. He no longer needed constant reassurance because he had a daily supply of self-respect, and that glow quiet, real spread. What if you did the same, not perfectly, progressively? What if the next 90 days were a laboratory in which you practice being a calm, boundaried, generous presence? What if, instead of demanding to be found fascinating, you became fascinated with living well? How would your rooms change? How would your reputation evolve? How would your relationships deepen? Let's make this simple and live today. Before you open your messages, write 2 lines by hand. What's in my control today? And what kind of person do I want to be while I do it? Circle 3 actions that matter. Do the first one with your phone away. When you speak to the first person you see, look them in the eyes long enough to notice their eye color. Listen to the end of their sentence. Summarize what you heard. Ask one clean question. At the first spike of irritation, exhale to 5. Choose a sentence that serves the outcome you want 10 minutes from now. When you feel the tug to prove yourself, remember, choosing, not chasing. Keep your small promises. Tell the truth kindly. Protect a pocket of stillness in your evening. Then, as night settles, list 3 moments you gave value. Learn from one mistake without scolding yourself. Sleep. Do this for a week. Watch the subtle changes. Watch how people angle their bodies toward you. Watch how your mind quiets. Watch how your words travel farther because they come from deeper soil. The Stoic Hack is not a trick of posture or a script for your texts. It is a recovery of your center. It is remembering that your worth isn't up for auction, that your attention is a gift, that your boundaries are acts of love, that your calm is contagious, and that your life has a purpose no algorithm can assign. When you live like this, You create a gravity that is both kind and unmistakable. Yes, people may become a little obsessed. They will check your name first, save your messages, and look for you in a crowded room. But your aim will never be the obsession itself. You will aim to live well. And perhaps the best part is this: the magnetism you build doesn't just pull people in. It pulls you up. You become the person you once needed. You learn to give what you once begged for. You anchor in a way that keeps you steady in both praise and silence. That steadiness is rare. Rare things are treasured. Treasured things are protected. Protected things endure. So walk out into your day with a softer jaw and a stronger spine. Speak a little slower. Choose instead off chasing. Offer value more than you seek validation. Hold your boundaries like a gardener holds a fence, not to keep life out, but to let what's growing inside truly bloom. When the storms come and they will stand. Breathe. Remember what is yours to govern, then govern it well. That's the Stoic hack. Not loud, not showy, quiet, clear, clean. Live it for a month and see whether the world doesn't lean in. Live it for a year and watch your name become a place of rest in other people's minds. And if someone asks you, what changed, you can smile and say, nothing special. I just stopped chasing. I started choosing. I became a steady flame.